Shabbat Shalom. Let's have a morning coffee together. Shabbat Shalom. So I was in Jeremiah 12 earlier this week. And typically when we do these videos, we'll pull some scriptures, not the full scripture. But I want to take the time to read the entirety of Jeremiah 12 for the season that we are in on earth. Many confusing spirits have gone out on the earth. Mostly they're in Babylon. You can see this just due to the facts of the mental health system. I used to work in healthcare. I used to work in a mental health hospital. And so you start to identify these patterns in people. And I'm telling you, since 2020, it has increased. You can look this up mathematically, statistically. But we know from a spiritual standpoint that we do not deal with, they have like the pharmakia medicine that they try to give, and that's not the solution. The solution is right here in the word. But here's the thing that was so beautiful learning about Jeremiah. Jeremiah the prophet, in the book of Jeremiah, very long book. You should read it. I've been reading it 4 months now, over and over. Jeremiah starts out being called by the Most High as a child, as somebody that was young, okay? And the Most High says to him in Jeremiah 1, do not say that you're too young, or else I will smite you in front of this people. Do not be afraid of them. They're not going to agree with your words, but your word is my word, so don't back down from them. Right? And so Jeremiah, he continues preaching and prophesying about the destruction of Jerusalem, okay, and the destruction that was coming to Judah and his people, just like the Messiah. It's very beautiful with the prophets. They're also similar. His people did not want to hear him. He didn't take that to heart. He didn't mind. He didn't care. Why? Jeremiah is not a people pleaser. Jeremiah does not care what man thinks, what people think. He cares about thus says Yah and what his word says. And so Jeremiah, he's typically known as the crying, Jeremiah is typically known as the crying prophet, meaning he would go forth throughout the land and prophesy destruction, and it would break his heart because he loves his people. And so obviously knowing that destruction is coming, but they won't hear it, they won't listen, that would make you sad. That would make you want to cry. So Jeremiah is seen as the weeping prophet. But what we see in Jeremiah 12 is this change from being the weeping prophet that is literally trying to cover his people. And I would almost say almost like a spirit of a lion comes out of him, a spirit of the Lion of Judah, a spirit of, listen, turn them over to their wickednesses because I can't have savior mentality anymore. This is what Jeremiah starts to realize. And so let's hop in. We're going to read the entire thing together. Take out your Bible, Jeremiah 12. You can read it on your iPad. I'm not one of those people that's going to tell you, oh, only read it in the physical. Read whatever you want. Just make sure you're reading Jeremiah 12, okay? Let me drink some of my coffee right here. So Jeremiah 12 starts with Jeremiah saying, righteous are you, O Yahuwah, when I plead with you. Indeed, let me speak with you about right ruling. Very simple verse. You have a lot of people that are very churchified and very religious oriented that will say things like, we got to sing for hours before you come to the Most High. And Jeremiah, in Jeremiah 12, is in a moment of despair. And he immediately goes to the Most High, says one sentence, righteous are you. He still praises him. When I plead with you, let me speak to you about right rulings. So he's cutting to the chase here because Jeremiah is in prayer and he needs immediate assistance. Let's see what he says. Why has the way of the wrong prospered? All the workers of treachery are at ease. You've planted them and they take root. They grow, they bear fruit. You are near in their mouth, but far from their kidneys. The kidney was seen as the heart to the Hebrews in this time. So near in their mouth, the mouth and what you say with your mouth can be seen as vanity. It can be seen as emptiness because life and death is in the power of the tongue. Those who love it eat the fruit thereof. But if you do not love life, then death could possibly be coming out of your tongue, okay? Jeremiah says, but you have known me, O Yahuwah. You see me. You have tried my heart towards you. Draw them away like sheep for the slaughter. Separate them for the day of slaughter. This isn't the Jeremiah that they like to teach in the Christian church, okay? This Jeremiah, when we get to Jeremiah 12, there's a change in his heart posture. It's no more, I'm going to help them and save them. I'm going to be able to heal them. Jeremiah starts to realize through prophesying and speaking to his people, whom he absolutely loves, but does not love his people more than he loves Yah. He begins to prophesy their destruction. And the thing about prophetic destruction and destruction out the Most High's mouth is Jeremiah is not speaking his own words. The Most High has been coming to him over and over, telling Jeremiah, I am going to destroy your people because they do not listen to me. They work lewdness, they work false accusations. They want to have all these preachers and prophets that are speaking falsehood and vanity. They want to, as the Ten Commandments say, bring a false witness against their neighbor. They're doing all these things. They're having these idols even. They're having these idols, which, in current times could be some of the idols of the hands that you see, different masks and things. There's tons of idols that exist in the world. And so his people were doing that. It's fine when other people do that, but when you have a relationship with Yah himself, and then you turn away and do these things. And by the way, idols just aren't physical things. Your idol can also be gossip. Your idol can be false accusations. Your idol can be, I love to hear falsehood, but twist and warp in my mind and think it's truth. That's an idol, and that's confusion. And from a mental health perspective, a lot of times this is why people will end up in these insane asylums, because they do not know what's real from what's fake. And so in these times, obviously they didn't have insane asylums, but the Most High would give these people over to destruction. I read so much of Psalms and I pray in Psalms, okay? And something that always stands out, King David is repeatedly saying, confuse and scatter my enemies. If you look up that phrase in the scriptures and see how many times it pops up, you're going to be like, okay, what is this? So I was praying to the Most High last week and I'm like, why does it always say confuse and scatter? What is this pattern that requires confusion and a scattering of enemies, okay? And the Most High showed it to me and he says, this is for the witchcraft. This is for the witches. This is for the manipulators, those who work deceit and continue to work deceit. Confusion and scattered brained this spirit must go out and come to them, because they are already putting that into the atmosphere. They're already spreading false accusations. They're already accusing. They're already lying. They're already working deceit as their father, the devil. So let it come into them. This is why in Psalms it says, let them fall in the traps that they have made for me while I come out unscathed. This is why King David said that, for that very reason. The Spirit of the Most High said to me, this is what they have to reap. And this is why you can see the Messiah in the book of Matthew tell you to pray for your enemies. Because when you pray in the Spirit and understand these things, you can see their destruction that is not far off, that is very near, and you begin to feel sorry for them. And you begin to say, oh, Father, have mercy. If you do that, because I've seen people in mental hospitals, I've taken care of them. And the thing about a reprobate mind, in the book of Romans, I believe, a reprobate mind, it is when the Most High gives you over to the deceit that you've been working, or to the iniquity that you've been working. So it could be drunkenness, it could be a spirit of lust, it could be a spirit of lies, it could be a spirit of gossip, it could just be even an antichrist spirit, because that's going out in the earth as well. But whatever it is, the reprobate mind says to the person who is believing in lies, working lies, living in lies, bathing in lies, waking up to lies, says to them, this is the truth. And so it's a warped mindset. This is mental instability. A double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. So let's keep going. Jeremiah 12, verse 4. Number 3 said, but you have known me, O Yahuwah. You see me. You have tried my heart towards you. Draw them away like sheep for slaughter. Separate them for the day of slaughter. How long shall the land mourn, and the plants of every field wither? The beasts and birds are consumed for the evil of those who dwell there, because they said, he does not see our latter ending, he being Yah. If you have run with the footmen, and they have wearied you, then how do you contend with the horses? Oh, in other words, if you have run with regular humans, you have run with people who do not have much power, how would you contend with horses who have much more strength? How would you contend with the Almighty? How could you contend with someone that has rank and position in the Spirit of Yah? If you have run with the footmen and they have wearied you, then how do you contend with horses? And if in the land of peace you feel safe, then how do you manage in the yard and jungle? Ooh, Father, have mercy. For even your brothers, the house of your father, even they have betrayed you. Even they have cried aloud after you. Do not believe them, even though they speak smooth words to you. I have forsaken my house. I have left my inheritance. I have given the beloved of my being into the hand of her enemies. My inheritance has become to me like a lion in the forest. It cries out against me, therefore I have hated it. This is what Yahuwah says in response to Jeremiah. This is why you reading the scriptures for yourself, by yourself, to sit and meditate at the feet of the Messiah in the blood of Yahusha, who some call Jesus Christ, Yesu in Swahili. This is why this is so important. This is not typically taught in church, not typically taught in camps around the pastors and all these things, because this isn't a popular word. Jeremiah didn't have like popular prophecy. Jeremiah's prophecy was, listen, destruction's coming and you better get right. That was the prophecy. That's why his people wanted to stone him and kill him and falsely accuse him and put their hands on him. And yet, I think what sticks out so much about this, the way at least I grew up in the church, is that, you keep saying, oh, well, the grace and the mercy and the grace and the mercy. But grace and mercy also have an expiration date. All things have an expiration date. King Solomon teaches us that in Ecclesiastes. There's a time for everything under the sun, okay? And so Yah literally responds when you would think with Jeremiah saying, draw them away like sheep for the slaughter, separate them from the day of the slaughter. This is a prophet. His word's going to come to pass, period. You would think that Yahuwah would say, oh, well, just, be kinder to them, have more mercy. But Yah agrees with him, and not only agrees, but takes it a step further and says, yes, this is why I've left my inheritance. I have given them to the hand of their enemies. And this is why they are like a lion to me. But let's continue. Let's go to verse 10. Many shepherds have destroyed my vineyard and trodden down my portion underfoot. They have made my pleasant portion become a desert wilderness. They have laid it waste, a waste. It mourns to me. The land is laid waste. No one takes it to heart. The ravagers have come on all the bare heights in the wilderness, and the sword of Yahuwah, the sword of God, Yah, not the sword of the nations, not the sword of the Europeans, not the sword of this person and that person. The sword of Yah is devouring from one end of the land to the other end of the land. There is no peace to any flesh. They have sown wheat, but reaped thorns. They have exhausted themselves, and they do not profit. And they shall be ashamed of your harvest because the burning displeasure of Yah. Thus says Yahuwah, as for all my evil neighbors who touch the inheritance which I have caused my people Yasharel to inherit, I am plucking them out of their land, and I will pluck the house of Judah from their midst. The beautiful thing about the Most High, he will set himself against his people, then also later in the scriptures, later in the chapter, turn and say, but those who call on my name, I'm going to pluck them out of the midst of their accusers, of their adversaries, whether they be of Israel, Judah, whether they be of the nations, it doesn't matter. Yah says, I will pluck them out of their midst, and it shall be after my plucking them out, I shall return and have compassion on them, and bring them back, everyone to his inheritance, and everyone to his land. And it shall be, if they learn, this is the caveat, it shall be, if they learn well the name of the ways of my people and swear by my name as Yah lives, as they taught my people to swear by Baal or swear by things that don't matter, they shall be established in the midst of my people. But if they do not obey, I shall pluck up and destroy that nation. And then Jeremiah 13, Yahuwah said to me, go get yourself a linen girdle, put it on your loins, but do not put it in water. So I bought a girdle according to the word of Yahuwah, and put it on my loins. You see, Jeremiah, he don't talk back to the Most High. Most High says, do something similar to Abraham. The Most High said to Abraham, go out your land and I'm going to show you where to go. Don't ask any questions. The Most High didn't even have to say this to these men because they are immediately in obedience. They don't talk back and say, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would I put a linen? They just go because it's a symbolism, which you're going to see. Take the girdle that you have bought, which is in your loins, arise, go to the Euphrates, hide it there in a hole in the rock. This is Jeremiah 13, verse 4. And I went and hid it by the Euphrates as Yahuwah commanded me. And it came to be after many days that Yahuwah said, arise, go to the Euphrates, take from there the girdle which I command you to hide. I love the creativity of the Most High. His divine creativity, you're going to see this symbolism. I think it's very beautiful and very creative. And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Thus says Yah, thus I ruined the pride of Yehuda, the great pride of Jerusalem, this evil people. This is what the Most High calls his people, some of them, most of them, who refuse to hear my words, walk in stubbornness of their heart, walk after other mighty ones to serve them, to bow themselves, is like this girdle, which is completely useless. So he hid this girdle, this linen, in the river, the Euphrates River. He left it for some time. He goes back to pick it up. Obviously, it's soggy and dismantled and useless. This is an illustration where the Most High, Yah, is showing Jeremiah and the people this right here, this symbolism. This is what you are to me when you walk in stubbornness and you do not hear truth in reality. This is what you are. And this is why in Psalms 109, King David can pray prayers that say, let their prayer become sin. When you have a Yah that works righteousness and judgment in this way, and you have somebody that is functioning in dysfunction and deceit and false accusation or idolatry, adultery, whatever it is, their prayers then become useless to Yah. Yah will not hear that person, but he will hear the oppressed and the righteous of the land. For as the girdle clings to the loins of a man, so I have caused the house of Yehuda to cling to me, says Yah, to become mine for a people. I just love that. And a name for a praise and adorning. An adorning. That's what you were meant to be. But they would not listen. And you shall speak to them this word, says Yah, the Elohim of Yasharel. Every bottle is to be filled with wine. And when they say to you, do we not know that every bottle should be filled with wine? Right? Smart Alex. Then say to them, thus says Yah, see, I'm filling all the inhabitants of this land and the sovereigns who sit on the throne of Dawid, the priests, the prophets, the pastors, the deacons, the this, the that, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem with drunkenness. Yah says he's filling them with drunkenness. Yah says he's giving them over to a destroyed mind, a scatterment, a confusion of mentality. So when you are dealing with people and you start to discern and realize that they are embedded in believing falsehood, or that they seem to not really be in reality, do not try to argue with fools lest you become foolish like them. Do not respond to fools because it will not make sense. This is something they even teach you in healthcare, especially when you're working with mental health in like the ER type of clinic. You don't go back and forth with patients. You let them believe whatever they want to believe. I had a patient one day years ago, man. It's been so long since I worked in healthcare, but it's relevant to what we're talking about today. There was this patient in the mental hospital. It's an adult mental hospital. It was brand new at the time. Very beautiful place, gorgeous. It was my dream job because I love psychology, okay? I love psychology, as y'all may know. But this lady, in the middle of the night, 2 a.m. every night, she would get up and believe, I don't know what exactly she was seeing. I did not ask. Again, the word says, do not argue with fools. Do not talk to fools lest you be foolish, okay? And it's literally like that in mental hospitals. She would throw these fireballs, or it looked like she thought she was throwing fireballs up into the ceiling every single night, okay? Every night she would do it until they had put her on this medication. The medication is obviously not righteous, but follow the storyline, okay? Until she had that medication, she stopped doing it. Whatever she was seeing, she believed that she was zapping these fireballs up into the air. But us as people who are in our right minds, who are there to care for them or whatever may have you, you don't ask and say, okay, what is that? You don't talk to foolish people lest you be foolish like them. If you try to understand someone that has literally lost their mind and lost their sense of reality, you also will eventually lose your mind and lose your sense of reality, okay? So verse 13, then say to them, thus says Yah, I'm filling all the inhabitants of the land and the sovereigns who sit on the throne of Dawid, the priests, the prophets, the inhabitants of Jerusalem with drunkenness, not just wine drunkenness. Drunkenness can also be a confusion of mind, because when somebody is drunk, they're obviously not in their right mind. Again, we have this pattern of confusion, drunkenness, scattered thoughts, okay? Listen and give ear. Do not be proud, for Yahuwah has spoken. Give esteem to Yahuwah your Elohim before he brings darkness before your feet, before you stumble on the dark mountains. And while you are looking for light, he turns it into the shadow of death and makes it gross darkness. And if you do not listen, my being shall weep in secret for your pride. Jeremiah is so caring. He's saying to them, if you don't listen, I will cry in secret. I won't cry in your face. I won't cry out loud right now, but I will cry because of your pride, the destruction of your pride. And my eyes will weep and run down with tears because the flock of Yahuwah shall be taken captive. Notice how Jeremiah doesn't say, I will be taken captive. The Most High will always protect his people, the ones who actually follow him, not just his people who are physically his people, who say they are his people. Many are called, but few are chosen. But the ones who actually work righteousness, the ones who actually listen to him. Say to the sovereign and to the sovereigness mother, humble yourselves, sit down for your rule. The crown of your comeliness has come down. The cities of the south will be shut up with no one to open them. Yehuda shall be taken in exile, all of it. She shall be taken in exile completely. Lift up your eyes, see those who come from the north. Where is the flock that was given to you, your fair sheep? What you would say when he visits you, for you have taught them to be chiefs, to be head over you. Do not pain seize you like a woman in labor? And when you say in your heart, why has this come upon me? It's because of your great crookedness. Your heels made bare. Does a Cushite change his skin, an Ethiopian and a leopard its spots? You who are taught to do evil are also unable to do good. So I shall scatter them like the stubble that passes away by the wind of the wilderness. This is your lot. This is your measured portion. This is from me, says Yah, because you forgotten me and trust in falsehood. This is Jeremiah 23 through 25. Yahuwah himself says, 1, because you have forgotten me. 2, because you trust in falsehood. You believe in lies, you believe in deceit, and that pronounces you as evil to Yah himself. I shall even draw your skirts over your face, and your shame shall be seen. If you draw somebody's skirt over their face, obviously they're naked. Being naked in the spirit means your secret sins and your secrets that you thought were hidden and that you thought was going to be okay are now going to come out because you are not under the shadow and the covering of the Almighty. The shadow and the covering of the Almighty is activated when you walk in the 10 Commandments, when you keep his Sabbaths, when you remember his worship and Kadesh him, set him apart, venerate him in front of the people instead of idolizing your own pain, your own confusion, your own whatever you're going through. Put those things under the Tav, the stake, the cross, the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Put those things under and submit yourself to the Mighty One of the entire universe. Not just Yaakov, he's our Mighty One. But listen, he's also the Mighty One who created all the earth, all that fills it, all the universe, everything. Your adulteries and your nyings, wow. So there's a couple things he's naming here. You forgot Yah, you trust in falsehood, and you are working in adulteries and nyings, the wickedness of your whoring. I've seen your abominations on the hills and in the fields. That's gross. Woe to you, O Jerusalem! How long before you would be made clean? And there's more. Jeremiah is a heavy book. You should continue reading. I encourage you to continue reading Jeremiah. I definitely will be rereading Jeremiah. And it's, the Most High, his word. And that's why I love to read the minor and major prophets. Obviously, Jeremiah and Isaiah being major prophets. It's very clear. It gives you a level of discernment. It gives you a level of rank and power in the spirit to read and discern his word with understanding and to understand what the prophets went through. And Jeremiah said to them, he's like, I'm still going to cry for you. I'm still going to be in pain when you're taken away in captivity and you fall by the deceit which you have laid. But that doesn't stop the judgment of Yah. No matter, because remember, Jeremiah is basically one against thousands, okay? There were a lot of people in Jerusalem and Judah. Jeremiah and his scribe Baruch, they're basically one or two, a couple of people against 1,000. And so you say, could everybody be wrong? Could it all be? Yes. Ask Jeremiah. Ask Isaiah. I got a better one. Ask Yahusha, could everybody be wrong? Now, Yahusha had thousands of people following him, but nearing his resurrection, nearing his crucifixion, nearing him sacrificing his blood for you, my people, nearing when he did that, all his people turned against him. Not only that, but the entire nation of Judah said, actually, we're going to go with Barnabas. We don't want the king of the universe, Yah in the flesh, Yah that came down, the one who created the world and now is functioning in humanity as Yahusha, as his only begotten son. We don't want him. We want Barnabas the thief, who they know has stolen. They know Barnabas for a fact has done these things, but they wanted to crucify Yahusha, the one who is literally perfect. Literally, there is no human that can reach the level of perfection that Yahusha has. He was literally perfect and led as a sheep to the slaughter. But it had to come to pass, it had to happen so that you and I could have our kingdom citizenship and our salvation, our redemption, and our power and our authority. And so if you are coming across these spirits in the world, understand that these are patterns that are going to come in the last days. Do not back down, but also do not argue with stupidity. Do not argue with foolishness. Jeremiah 4, where Yahuwah says, my people are sottish, my people are stupid. This is what the Most High says about his people. My people are backward. Do not argue with the foolish, lest you become foolish like them, because you're talking to people that may be in an entire different reality. And when somebody is in a different reality, they are no longer stable in their mind. So do not even listen. Do not even engage them. As I was telling you, they teach you in the mental hospital when you're in healthcare, especially if you work on the mental hospital floor, okay? They will tell you if this person's bipolar, this person's schizophrenic, this person has borderline personality, this person, you know, whatever it is, they're hot, they're cold. Do not argue with them. You never argue with them. You don't enrage them. You just let them be, let them go. They're going to continue like that. And most of the time, they're not going to stop. The only way somebody like that can obtain deliverance is if they begin to want it for themselves. You cannot save the world. If Jeremiah could not save the world, you cannot save the world. If Yahusha, the Messiah, could not save all of Judah because they did not have faith, look at the scriptures, and they did not believe in him and wanted to kill him, then how can you save everybody? Yahusha came to save the entire world, but did the entire world get that salvation? No. There are going to be people that do not make it to his kingdom. There are going to be people that speak lewdness and lies and say, well, didn't I do this in your name, Father? Didn't I do that? And didn't I work this power? This is the book of Matthew. And he's going to say what? Depart from me. I never knew you, you worker of lewdness, you worker of iniquity, you worker of witchcraft, you worker of deceit, falsehood, whatever it is. And so I hope this gave you inspiration for the day. I hope this brings you closer to Yahusha to his throne, to his feet, to his crucifix, to his tav. Look up the tav in Hebrew, understand the symbolism of the last letter of the Hebrew aleph-bet. The tav, what it is, it's the symbol of everything really. The end from the beginning, the aleph and the tav. That's where the Greeks got the alpha and omega. It started with the Hebrew, the aleph and the tav. Aleph being the strong ox head, the leader, and then the tav being the completion, the finishing of our faith. So, shalom, shalom, Shabbat shalom, and we'll see you in the next video. Be blessed.